Hi guys, I thought I would do a follow-up video to the unboxing of my fantastic SuperGun, which was made by James from Jamma Nation X. I've yet to actually turn this on. I got super busy yesterday, so I thought I would do a quick overview and show you guys how to set this up, how easy it is to set up. Just so you're aware, this is not a console, right? So it's not as simple as just plugging something in, pressing a button, and playing. It could be if you decide to get some video encoders in here, but I wanted this pure RGB SCART. I didn't want component, composite, S-video, or any of that jazz, because the games were not designed for those resolutions. They were, well, at least the ones that I'm playing are all old school arcade games that were designed for RGB out. That was it. So there's no point. I didn't want any fluff of like composite or component or S-video or anything like that. I didn't mention this yesterday, but I'm going to go over now and give you guys an overview. So this is your Jamma connector right here. I love the fact that you put a line here so that you can't screw up. You've got your 4 players here. These have been wired for a Neo Geo arcade stick. And what I'm going to be using is my analog interactive arcade stick, because it uses the same exact pinout as a regular Neo Geo arcade stick. And what I've got, I mentioned this yesterday, but I have this big wire mess, which is essentially, let me just show you like this. All right, and this basically is an extension cable that will allow me to place my SuperGun, you know, somewhere else and have, you know, good like 6 to 12 feet of cabling in order to use my stick. Now, that takes care of these. I mentioned yesterday that I also had Sega Saturn adapters that were made, and that's very true. These 3 were for red, green, blue RGB. You can change the how can I say this, sort of like the strength of the signals. So if you're noticing, don't mind me as I shoo away the cat because he's about to sit on one of my arcade games. Anyways, you can mess around with the intensity. So for example, if you notice the red level is a little bit off, you can just go ahead and mess around with that. I've kept them all at where James kept them, which was basically at the 50% level. Now this, some people were writing in the previous video asking like, well, what is this display? Well, the display is for the voltage. You want to have the voltage at 5 volts. Some systems will require 5.1, something like that, but you don't want to overdo it because you can actually fry your boards. So what you do is you put this dial at around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and then you slowly increase until you hit the 5 volts, and then you just leave it there. It'll be good to go. On the side, this is for 6-button games. It's called a kick harness, basically, because typically the kick buttons on 6-button arcade boards required this other harness. Excuse me. So like Capcom, a lot of the Capcom fighters and whatnot are going to make use out of this, which is understandable. This is actually for 3- and 4-player games, such as, oh, I don't know, like the X-Men arcade games like that. On the back here, I didn't go over this yesterday because I wasn't sure. We have, you know, the standard DC, well, the power, basically, where you're going to plug it in. You have your on and off, and you have a fuse. There's also a little fan here. And this dial, I was like, well, what is this dial? It's because when I had ordered this, I had ordered it so that everything went through the SCART cable, including the audio. So this is actually the audio control. Think of it like the volume. It will basically lower or increase the volume. These 2 switches, there's a test switch and a service menu, because service menu, you barely are ever going to use that because it basically tells the game, okay, you know, we're going to switch 1 token or 2 tokens per life or something like that. But a lot of arcade games won't start without this actual service menu. If it doesn't detect it, it'll be like, oh, something's wrong. And then these 2, one is to clean up the image. It's like a sort of like a, it's got a V-Sync chip in here, I believe it is, or it's to clean up the image. That's good enough. And then one is for the audio. I believe it's something similar. It's just so that you can have stereo audio. And that's pretty much all she wrote. Now you can order these for like, you know, $700, $800 or something like that, where they would have a whole bunch of other things. You can have components, you can have composite, you can have whatever. But for me, I wanted that pure RGB source. So that's exactly what I did. Now, what I'm going to do, I wanted to show you guys the full thing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Jamma harness here. I'm going to plug this end into the system, and I'm going to plug this end onto my lovely little board I have here. This is an old Konami board, as you can see on that side there. And this is the Jamma right here. I believe you can even see it says Jamma. Let's see, I can't see myself, but you guys can see it. It should say somewhere over there, Jamma. And I'm going to connect this in. And then I'm going to power up with this, the old SuperGun. And then I'm going to take the SCART lead here, and I'm going to not plug that into my modern day TV, because obviously it wouldn't have it, but I've got my HD video upscaler, which I use all the time for my Sega Saturn reviews and other retro reviews and consoles that I have. And I'm going to use this to boost the image to 1080p. And from there, I will basically take a video to show you guys how the whole setup works. I'm not going to add the capture card into the mix just yet. I'll do that after when I come back, or I'll just film the screen to show you guys that it actually, you know, works. That's the main thing. The direct feed footage, that'll come later when we're actually worrying about reviews and things like that. But right now I just wanted to show you guys the setup, how this actually works. So let me hook all of this up, and then I'll take a quick video showing you guys how that setup was. And then we'll fire it up, and we'll see what happens. Okay, what I did was I actually switched out the game because I felt like actually playing this. I put some PCB feet on it. As you can see, I connected the Jamma harness, and I got my nice Neo stick in here, all good to go. Powered the system up, got the SCART being fed into my upscaler here, and HDMI into my Harman Kardon receiver. So I'm just going to flip the switch, and we're going to take a look at the TV. And there you see me. Hi. All right. We'll see if this worked. So far, so good. Looks good to me, guys. Looks good to me. Well, guys, there you go. I know the volume was a little bit low for the intro to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but that's because I had no idea how loud it was going to be, so I turned the volume down. But there you have it, guys. That's just a quick look at basically how to set it up and a little overview of the SuperGun again. And it works great. I tested almost all the other arcade boards that were either donated or that I purchased or whatever, and they all work beautifully. Overall, the SuperGun right now is just amazing. It's super easy to use. It's almost like a console. I mean, you just have to plug a few things in, flip on the switch, adjust the voltage just ever so slightly to 5 volts or just somewhere around there. And that's it. It's basically sit back and enjoy these arcade classics. I didn't mention, but on this particular SuperGun, there is no coin button. I put the coin button. The gentleman that made the SuperGun put the coin button as the select button on the Neo stick. So that's you know, it's perfect. But I know some of you guys are probably wondering, oh, you never mentioned a coin button. So that's the way it is. So over the next, you know, days, weeks, months, years, no. over the next little while, I'm going to be slowly but surely covering different arcade games in both reviews, talking about some different, features, highlights, things like that. But if you are in the market for a SuperGun, I highly recommend going and checking out Jamma Nation X. Been super, super impressed with not just the device, but the customer service was great. James in particular is a really nice guy. And yeah, I mean, this is the best way now for me to capture footage of great arcade exclusives. I'm going to be tackling some great Thomas Wave games in the next, hopefully by next week I can get one game in particular that I'm really, really excited to finally try. I played it a bit, which was Dolphin Blue. I really want to cover that so you guys can experience that. There's not much footage floating around of Dolphin Blue. But anyways, right now I'm going to be covering Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. As always, thanks for watching, guys. If there's anything in particular you want to see or know about the SuperGun, by all means, just, leave a comment. Thanks for watching, and take care. Do